they come! Don't let up! Are these real ruins? Huh, it's just like in the serials.
I wonder who used to live here. Do you suppose anyone remembers anymore?
Heads up! Got him, Pop! Hit him with something else! Hard on me! Jackass isn't coming!
That's smart! Woo!
Yeah! Now that was fun! Always wanted to visit Stellar Bay. Taking the sights. The sounds. Wait, what's that smell?
You reckon the smell ever goes away? Maybe the wind off the sea helps. Great work!
You, hey, hold it! What do you think you're doing? I don't have time for this. Move along.
We don't get many outsiders.
What do you think you're doing?
Just keep your fingers to your own self, okay?
Ooh, you're the new face. So who do you follow? Wait, don't tell me. You look like a Hammersmith Thunder fan. No, Glacial H. Mammoths.
Pretty much the entire colony.
Everyone needs a good diversion. That's what keeps you from thinking about the marauders outside town. The raptidons chewing at the walls. Tossball's just about the only good news we get around here.
You get to listen to games all day? Stellar Bay really is a paradise.
It's pretty swell, but it's a whole lot better with company. Say, I don't think I've seen you before, and I'd remember that face.
I'll try not to be a stranger then. Name's Felix, by the way.
You should stop by more often. The games are always better when you've got someone to celebrate with.
Sounds like a good time. I wouldn't mind bringing a couple drinks and settling in for the pennant match.
Look at me, getting carried away again. So, what can I do for you? Graham's always filling the airwaves with this propaganda, like it's done him any good. All it means is the tossball games get to us in fragments. Makes him real hard to watch.
If Velma's capable of running the warehouse, she can certainly pick up her own caffeinoid.
Don't be so hard on her. With Brax missing, she's working doubles and needs a little edge.
Hello, dearie. Why, I don't believe I've seen you before. And with sweet cheeks like those, I'd remember. What can Auntie Abigail do for you? Yes, indeed. Someone's got to keep Stellar Bay's people healthy and energized. Oh, but I am. I get to see plenty of my neighbors here, and I do. She works over at the fishery next door. Quite the hard worker, but she's got a bit of a... Why, just the other day, I heard her shouting from here. I can't imagine what set her off. Oh, but here I go again, running my mouth when it's... She works over at the fishery next door. No disagreement there, dearie. But... Oh, but here I go again. If Velma's capable of running the warehouse, she can certainly pick up her own caffeinoid.
Don't be so hard. With Brax missing, she's working...
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon?
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon?
Velma seem out of sorts to you?
She's always cranky.
No, I mean, more than usual.
I made it a point to stay. You're probably looking for Velma. Watch out. Wouldn't mind smelling like salt tuna if we could sell more of it.
Ooh. Smells like those old Sundays when we'd unload salt tuna shipments for the can.
We gotta go exploring. I want to see some savages.
Please, will someone help? Oh, thank you for stopping. Everyone acts like nothing's wrong, like my little boy is... Please, you have to help me get my little Tucker back. He ran away and is going to get himself killed. Oh, I just know a raptidon is melting him with acid as we... Don't you tell me to calm down. I promised. He ran out into the wilderness a few days ago. I warned him about the raptidons, mantisaurs, and marauders.
Oh, law, Captain. A youngster won't...
Please, won't you go and find my boy? He's been pining for an adventure. Says he's tired. I warned him. A raptidon would snap him up first chance it got. I just know once ripped his arm. He should have listened. Thank you. Oh, you look for him in Amber Heights, you hear? It's down the road southwest of town. And if you find any of them iconoclasts indoctrinating my boy, you punch them in the mouths. Tell...
Help! Someone's been killed!
Whoa, by the stars, my poor heart. I just about pissed my jumpsuit. Most people don't.
We're used to folks swooning at our feet.
A healthy survival reflex is nothing to be embarrassed of. Besides, this place is enough to try anyone's nerves. Where should I begin? With the oversized mantisaurs? Or perhaps the rap? The board was right. This place isn't fit for human habitation, and I was a fool for staying. Sanjar, of course. He had all these glorious ideas about how he'd run Monarch. Rest periods between... It all sounds wonderful, until you realize there's only a few centimeters of repurposed steel between you and the deadliest creatures in the galaxy. I could do with a few kilometers of cold vacuum, but that spaceship is flown. Only every day. But in case you haven't noticed, we don't exactly get ships on a regular... And even if I did scrape together enough to buy passage out with sublight, which would mean reaching Fallbrook without getting eaten, shot, or dissolved into green goo, what then? Well, thank you for reminding me. That was a real popular meal 10, 20 years back, before the board tucked tail and ran. These days, everybody's had a belly full of salt tuna. They all want borscht, and the mush... I can whip one up for you, but it'll cost...
Oh, yikes. I can't cover this much, Captain.
You got it. I got all the ingredients. Should only take about an hour in the oven. There we are. Now, if you don't mind, I really need to take a leak.
My belly's gurgling just to smell it, Mr. Raymond. Thank you so much.
A pleasure to help such a charming young lady.
Oh, gosh. My tongue's rumbling just smelling that casserole.
Whatever you do, don't mention crossbow.
You startled me. Don't sneak up on a person like that, huh? Jumpy? Who's Jumpy? I'm not Jumpy.
Trying to get us all in trouble? What do you think you're doing? Do what you want, I guess.
I think I'm gonna be sick. I clean the apartments while everyone's at work. If you're going into the apartments, do not go into the lower one on the right. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Could I get another greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and What can I do for you today?
Or is he not paying you on account of how he tried to fix the thing his own self and busted it even worse, and then said you wasn't fixing? Not that I got any prior experience with such.
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid. Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth, or mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really. So I can talk to him, of course. He does.
I reckon she's got a little bit of.
He's sort of the strong. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff. And some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell. Would you? I'd appreciate that so much. Maybe don't tell him I wanted you to ask. Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work. He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises. You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny. Not in Stellar Bay. Everyone else who isn't taken either smells like... Besides, a man with a good smile and a proportionate up... Sorry, sometimes I...
Well, new business turns... Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics?
That you...
How can yield improvement...
You've often posed...
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me. Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review?
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself? What a charming notion. One doesn't meet many free spirits in Isle. Forgive me, I'd be positively enraptured. Only, I take it this means you aren't here for Saltuna. Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to the...
Seems like you're having a rough time, Mr. Sanjar.
Oh, don't worry on my account. This is merely the latest in a long line of professional, erotic, and athletic. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for... Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious. Yes, freedom is a tempting ideal, but a rather costly.
Can't imagine why you'd sneer at the notion of a free colony. Could it be because you're an agent of the establishment?
I used to be young and idealistic too, but you can't run a city on high-minded ideals.
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored.
On our terms, mind you.
Are you out of your mind? You can't just go crawling back to your old masters.
Well, we can't continue to subsist like this either. It's a two-pronged approach. The first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. Not long, but the devil is... And the salient detail here is a Bolt 52. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in House.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful or...
I was starting to get bored listening to you, till you said the phrase
It is quite the rush. An ordinance, of course. We do things in a civ...
There's nothing the board likes so much as paperwork.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say you just crawled out from under a rock. And this one is located in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. And these days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons. Saying what which way? That's just what it's called. It's supposed to stand for something, but I forget what. Good enough. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. What can I do for you? You weren't supposed to look. I asked you to delete it. I didn't mean for any harm to come to you. This has been my albatross. I give MSI everything. My work, my youth, my left kidney, and for years, I was a joke to them. In charge of a scrap heap of a city. Abandoned by the board and surviving only through the hypocrisy of our trading partners. I hadn't thought of it that way. But perhaps... Thank you for that. Was there something else? Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes. Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resource.
Yeah, and once you go back to him, he'll own your dignity too.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community. And being cut off means slow strangulation. Indeed, we've got to consider... If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then... Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
Don't get ahead of yourselves.
Yes, it'll be easier to... My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws. Not intentionally, though that's... For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. Back then, it was known as Terra 1. As you may have noticed, this planet has... And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out. Our leadership at the time certainly was. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up. It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not...
I hope you'd treat them nice, whether it was good business or not, Mr. Sanjar. That's what being a community means. Treating people.
Word of advice, Sanjar. If Parvati's got something to say, you do well to listen close.
A noble thought, Miss Holcomb. Unfortunately, noble thoughts rarely sway board policy. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms. That's what I thought. But the senior executives laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with... Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages. I don't know. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reason.
Your first mistake was expecting the board to cut you a fair deal.
I understand the sentiment, but if we can't rely on some sort of frame, I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
Sounds like the board gave themselves the power to arrest an entire planet.
They would say it's for the greater good. Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way. He and his followers call themselves the Iconoclasts. Lawless anarchists, all of them. If anyone on Monarch deserves the reputation the board's pinned on us, it's them. A chance. They've been doing this for years. And well, let's just say, it isn't just that they drain our people. Every radical act they commit cements Halcyon's image of us all as destructive.
So,
Shall I begin with the supply shortages or the subtle but constant threat? He's lucky the board doesn't take him seriously enough to keep more than a few UDL gunships patrolling Monarch.
An Earth Directorate assault cruiser would change his tune. It's almost a shame we haven't seen one around Monarch in a long while.
What can I do for you? Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. You'd head south along the road and look for a mountain to the west. Not that I'd advise it, it's a terribly... But if you insist on going, I'd recommend taking a local guide.
If you can keep her sober.
A fine day. Anyway, what can I do for you?
Wrapped musk and canid. Hello, stranger. Can I interest you in Raptidon tongue? You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts? Oh, good. You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal? I don't know. Celia usually buys whatever I have, and Mr. Pickett seemed real interested.
Mr. Pickett? Franklin Pickett?
That's him. He'd been here years, but he always talked about going back to Edgewater one day.
Sure. Mr. Pickett used to run the community center outside Edgewater. He had this... As my dad told it, Mr. Pickett was always going on about getting a manta queen for the last display. He left the Vale, gosh, years ago.
He came to Stellar Bay years ago, just before the board cut us off. Ended up stuck here. He was always real interested in our monsters. Manta queen. Sure, they're real big. Hard to miss them. Well, I could send you to the same place I sent Mr. Pickett, but I haven't seen him in a few weeks.
Captain, can we look for him? I'd feel awful if somebody from home was in trouble and...
Tell you what, I'll tell you where I sent Mr. Pickett if you promise to look for him. Help him out if he's got himself in trouble. Fair deal?
Thanks, Captain.
All right then. Leave town through the southern gate, the one right here. Last Mana Queen I saw was in the wilds out that-a-way. Huh. I haven't seen her in a few days, but I've been meaning to ask her how that... I hope it's working okay, because no one else really seems interested in this stuff. Nice of you to say. I like her too. Wait, I see what's going on. She put you up...
Oh, no, that's not it at all. She's smitten with you.
Don't get me wrong. I'd like to give her a discount. She's a real fine lady. Always... But if I give her one, I won't hardly make a bit. On account of no one else having any use for Raptidon tongues. You sound pretty sure. And she is awful nice.
Give her a chance. Give your...
Okay, I'll do it. Once her shift ends, we'll go...
That's the spirit, Sebastian. Between you and me, Captain, I'm not sure Miss Celia knows him too well. But we can hope, right? I want them to be...
Have you talked to Sebastian yet? What did he say? Okay, but how did he say it? Did he sound excited? Or like, was he like, yay, a date with Celia? I've secretly been waiting for this. Or was it more, sure, I don't have anything else going on. Not to worry. If I never buy another Raptidon tongue, look at me going on. I'm sure you've got other things to do, and Mr. Nandi's giving me that back-to-work look. Anyhow.
What was your family like, Felix? Did you ever know him?
I never knew him. I was a stowaway. That's what they call orphans.
And the little bastard's slippery, right? On account of its blood. So it's getting so I can't tell the blood from the mud. Don't interrupt. But I gotta get in there. Shut up. Right. What are you staring? Wait. You ain't from around here. Who are you? If you think this is drunk, I gotta sit. Partake. Buy me a drink and let's chat. Well. I'm headed back out there after I sober up. You want a guide sooner than that? You'll have to get me something to clear my head. More than you have, I suspect. I plan to sit here and drink until I find myself outstanding. Our dispensary here maintains a stock of... I'm cut off for the month, on account of needing one just about every damn day. But I'm sure you've got your wily ways. Fetch me one and we'll be all set. Well, they work. We got a deal or what? Perfect. Give it here. Whew, that hits the spot. Right in the, oh, no, there it is. There it is. Yes. We're in business. Let's go. Oh, Hiram? I ain't checked in on that man in an age. He's running the giant radio tower we lovingly... It's south and west. Mostly follow the road till you're past Fallbrook. Then look for caverns. If you ain't into spelunking, there's a western slope past Rotting River. But it's dangerous ground. Lot...
Smells like wrapped in here.
Oh, it does work. I brought some.
Hey, Velma, I got your caffeinoid pills.
You're a lifesaver. Hope Abigail didn't give you a hard time.
Just the usual. Any word on Braxton?
Nothing.
Feels like the old bits outside of Edgewater. Used up, needed, left to settle into ruin.
Exploring some ruins, killing some monsters. All we're missing is theme music.
I'm Huxley. My friends and I were scavenging here, and a Mana Queen showed up. Then Raptidons. It was a void. I ran in here, and, now the door's locked. Little help? Phew. Thanks. My buddy had a key, but I ain't heard him in a while. He locked me in here, so look for a dead guy, I guess. Or a rat. Maybe it's in a rat belly. Gross. Oh!
Ah, phew. Thank you so much. It was getting all stuffy in there, and I was getting a mite like now I'm out here. And I'm headed back to Amber Heights. Oh, sure, I'm a runner. I'm used to getting all dizzy and... Hey, who's your identical, slightly blurry friend? What? I ain't got nothing on me. How's about a heaping helping of appreciation and respect? That's true. Okay, fine. Here. Thanks a lot, mister.
Huh?
Felix! Wow, nice work.
Come out!
Well, hello, and welcome to the home of the iconoclasts. I'm Rose. Please take a pamphlet. In it, you'll find everything you need to know about Graham, his philosophist truths, and the iconoclast way. He wrote it himself, you know. Oh I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting we're out of pamphlets. Gosh, blast it.